And I know you got a big event coming up, a seasonal event, a perfect for October event in the New Galilee area. Kevin, welcome, first of all.
Thank you. Hey, it's great to be. I was thinking on my way over here. I was first on this radio 36 years ago.
Oh, what was the occasion?
Yeah, I had just finished walking the Appalachian Trail. And I was a guest to talk about that experience. And that was my first time and been back several times. Thank you very much for having me.
I got about 20 questions about walking the Appalachian. We'll have to have you back on to talk about that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I was much skinnier back then, much healthier and skinnier. So,
well, you live out by the area of the North Country Trail now. It goes through Beaver County. Have you ever walked that trail?
Oh, I've done the from Ohio all the way up to about I-80 or so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah.
4,500 miles or so.
I know they're doing some nice things in Darlington to make it more accessible. They're talking about building a sort of a shelter for people who are walking and want to spend some hours or time there. And some of the Darlington town businesses kind of reaching out to the trail walkers. And
that makes all the difference in the world, right? These little trail towns and the volunteers who go out of their way to welcome the through hikers, those people who are doing it from end to end, makes all the difference in the world. And what a pleasant experience that is for hikers.
Yes. But you're here to talk about Pumpkinpalooza.
Yeah.
I love the name.
Melanie Todorich is a little under the weather, so I'm going to do double duty today. Usually she handles all the Pumpkinpalooza activities, but I have her wonderful flyer here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this from the flyer. This is our 5th Pumpkinpalooza, and this is sponsored by the Little Beaver Lions Club. And this will be in New Galilee on October 11th. That's this Saturday. Things will kick off around noon. There are so many things going on there, Scott. It's unbelievable. The main feature are the pumpkin rolls down this big hill, and people bet on them. And these things come flying down there, and when they fly apart, and it can be pretty wicked when they crash through the barriers. But we're going to try to do everything we can not to have anyone get hurt with that. But it's pretty amazing. Yeah. So there will be apple launching and all kinds of games going on.
Whoa. Apple launching, we talking like what, slingshots?
Like a big slingshot.
No
slingshot.
Kidding.
Yeah, kids love that.
I would love that.
Yeah, it'd be fun. There's obstacle course for kids, various games, witch rides. There'll be a log rolling contest and a tar climb. It is a really, really fun time. These races go off about every half hour. You have to register for these. And then there is a big finale. I guess the winners, they get their pumpkins at the end of the big finale race. And there'll be a pie eating contest, pumpkin chunking contest, throwing a pumpkin, I guess. I'm not really sure what that is. I wish Mel was here to help us out with that. And then a pig roast. This is our 2nd year for a real pig roast.
And I bet I know why. You going to tie this into the pig lady?
Yeah. This for a number of years now, we've tied the Pig Lady Festival or celebration to Pumpkinpalooza. And so last year I suggested, well, hey, why don't we do a pig roast? Which is kind of odd if you think about it, right? Barbara Davidson, the myth, and well, let's eat a pig. But it went over great last year. We're going to have it again, and that's it's great. And this is slow roasted pig. 16 years and up, $25, and this includes a drink with that and all the fixing. So 6 to 15 years is $10, and little ones under 5, it's free. And this will begin at 4 p.m.
This is all this upcoming.
This will be on Saturday the 11th. Yeah.
Weather's still nice. People looking to get outside one more time. Yeah, your timing is perfect.
Yeah. And at 5 p.m. there's going to be this big candy drop. Anyone who's been out to the polo grounds, when they kick that off, they do a candy drop, and they're going to have a candy drop here at this event here. And so an hour after that, it's going to be sort of my show, if you will, from 6 to 8 p.m. And this is going to be, I have to tell you that we've been kind of pivoting away a little bit from the Pig Lady focus and focusing more on Appalachian Beaver County. A lot of people don't think of us as being a part of Appalachia, right? Being so close to Pittsburgh and so forth. I have this part of my social voice project. I have this digital media project I've been doing for a number of years now, all about Appalachian Beaver County. And I've asked people online, do you think of us as being Appalachian, right? We think of Appalachian like,
Kentucky,
North Carolina,
yeah.
Kentucky, right? Bottom West Virginia, so forth. Surprisingly, a lot of people absolutely do identify with Appalachia here, but a surprising number said no.
It's a polarizing thing I've found. Yeah.
Yeah, really? Polarizing.
I know a guy on social media, anytime someone mentions, like, they'll joke, Pittsburgh's the Paris of Appalachia, he gets really feisty about that. We're not Appalachia, but other people own into it and like and embrace it.
Yeah. Technically, there's this a government regional entity called the Appalachian Regional Authority. And, they peg 420 counties in 13 states. Appalachia runs all the way from northern Mississippi, I believe, and then all the way up into New England states. So Appalachian is a big, wide, diverse region. I always like to say, if you want to see something interesting about Appalachia, just watch the Andy Griffith Show. Mm-hmm. You've got Andy Griffith, who's from North Carolina, and his accent. Then you have Don Knotts, who is from northern West Virginia, and he has a southern accent, but they're very different.
Good point.
Very different.
Morgantown, right? Wasn't Don Knotts?
Morgantown, that's right. Yeah. In fact, there's this dividing line in northern West Virginia between the southern Appalachia and northern Appalachia in that area. It's very distinct. Language dialects are different. Food is different, and so forth. So we have sort of started to embrace our Beaver County Appalachian folkways, which includes, everything from our history, our dialect, of course, our Pittsburghese is a part of that. Even our economy, like what we've done here, to make a living, the coal mining, for example, timbering and things like that. Typically, extractive industries are very much associated with the Appalachian region. And of course, our culture, the music, our foodways, arts and crafts, storytelling and myths. And that's really was really what the Pig Lady Festival was about. The ghost tales, and then the Barbara Davidson's tale, which goes back to its origins are in the 1790s or so, with Barbara Davidson, who lived in the Darlington area, Cannleton in particular, and has haunted us ever since there. But so last year we focused on Barbara Davidson. I usually show this video that we put together with this wonderfully told tale by Tony Lavorna, and we focused on sort of the breadth of our Appalachian heritage. But this year we're going to focus on dance, and I'm really excited about this. We're going to focus on square dancing, and I have to admit, I don't know anything about square dancing other than I can remember as a young kid in the 70s, and apparently this happened a lot. Little kids learned how to do square dancing in the gym. You know what I mean?
I have a bone to pick about that. They were teaching us, we were like sixth grade, and we didn't want to touch a girl. And why weren't we learning square dancing when I was a high school senior, when I would have liked to dance with a girl?
Yeah, right?
They got that wrong, I think.
That's right. Well, square dancing, this is what I love about getting into all this is that we learn so much, right? And so I'm as curious about square dancing as anybody. It does have origins in Appalachia, the Scots-Irish influences, even from England. They came here, they settled the Appalachians, they brought with them their music and their dance, a lot of fiddle and fife tunes. A lot of those sort of, I wouldn't call square dancing genteel, but you know what it looks like, right? Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like this formation. It's very structured, you know what I mean? So we're going to learn all about this because Matt Williams is a local fellow who is very much, Matt?
Yeah, he does square dances like at the Independence Township Fire Hall and places like that. And, yeah.
Oh yeah, he's all over doing square dances, and he's a caller. And so Matt is going to take this from 6 to 8, take this over, and he's going to talk about the kind of square dancing that they do, which is a little bit different. It's more of a modern square dance. I'm trying to get the termination, the language correct here with all this, but he does modern American or Western style dance, which is slightly different than the barn or hoedown dancing. I don't know how. We're going to learn all about this, right? But Matt is going to explain all this. and he's going to bring some folks with him, enough to make a square, he says. I don't know what that means, but that should be interesting.
Well, I'm trying to visualize the venue for this, because we're talking New Galilee. You also mentioned the Darlington Polo Grounds. So kind of set the scene. Where will this Pumpkinpalooza be happening?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah. So in New Galilee, there's the community center. And it's going to be right behind, well, it's going to be that whole area, right? And so behind the community center.
That's off of is that 160, or what street is that? I should know that.
It's on 606 Centennial Avenue in New Galilee, and proper. So behind there's a big white pole building behind the community center. That whole field area, there's going to be a great big tent set up there. Matt will have in the center of that big tent the area for the square dancing.
So bring your dancing shoes.
Bring your dancing shoes. Oh, and this is also, if anyone wants to join, they're more than welcome. But Matt's going to, sort of walk people through it, describe things, and encourage people to come on up. He'll have his dancers, people who participate. And I come to find out, and talking to a lot of people through this whole planning process, that there are a lot of people here who have been serious square dancers over the years.
Ooh,
I mean, serious, like state level.
Competitive.
Yeah, competitive dancers, yeah.
I will hold that thought, Ken. We have a commercial break to get in, but we're going to be back with more, talking about Pumpkinpalooza this upcoming Saturday in New Galilee.
Even though trick-or-treat season is upon us, it's not too early to start thinking about gifts under the tree. It's me again, Cindy Haladio from Friendly Federal Credit Union. After you come down from that sugar high of eating all that Halloween candy, take a look at your holiday shopping budget. If it's as thin as some of those skeletons adorning the yards around here, you better get that pelvis of yours in here and see me. Holiday shopping loans can do the trick for this year, and setting up a Christmas Club savings account now will be a real treat at this time next year. Get it? Trick or treat? Anyhow, make sure that you can be a great Santa Claus without ever having to put on a costume by visiting Friendly Federal Credit Union now to apply for those funds to provide a great holiday based on credit approval. Member NCUA Equal Housing Lender.
Friendly Federal Credit Union. You got a friend.
This is a test of the emergency alert system originating from WBVP. The broadcasters and cable operators of your area, in voluntary cooperation with the Federal Communications Commission and other agencies, have developed this system to keep you informed in the event of an emergency. This is only a test. If this had been an actual emergency, you would have been given emergency information or instructions. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system.
Ah, the one and only Count Frankie here. Are you looking for something fun to take your little goblins to? Well, join Falcone's Moon Township Ford, Dan Hoffman State Farm Insurance, and Beaver County Radio for a ghoulish good time on Saturday, October the 18th for a trunk-or-treat car cruise from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Beaver County Radio Studios located at 4301 Dutch Ridge Road in Brighton Township. There will be all kinds of activities for the kiddies, including face painting, pumpkin decorating, a ducky derby, and a train ride. One person will win a Pit Boss 8-in-1 grill, courtesy of the Rochester True Value. There's no purchase necessary, and every adult will receive one ticket and a chance to win. There'll be a 50-50, a chance auction, and trick-or-treating from the trunk of cars. Anyone can participate, and your vehicle doesn't have to be a hot rod to give out treats. Adults are also encouraged to dress up, and there'll be prizes given for the best costumes. Beaver County Radio's Trunk or Treat is being presented by Falconte's Moon Township Ford, where friends send friends, and Dan Hoffman State Farm Insurance in Brighton Township. Beaver County Radio's Trunk or Treat is also brought to you by J. Young Refuse, Electric Garage Door Sales, True Value Hardware inside the East Rochester Shop and Save, and Beaver County Radio.
This is a test of the emergency alert system originating from WMBA. The broadcasters and cable operators of your area, in voluntary cooperation with the Federal Communications Commission and other agencies, have developed this system to keep you informed in the event of an emergency. This is only a test. If this had been an actual emergency, you would have been given emergency information or instructions. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system.
The Pitt Panthers are looking to improve off of last year's 7-6 record, and you can hear all of the action right here on Beaver County Radio. University of Pittsburgh football on Beaver County Radio is brought to you by the East Rochester and Tusca Shop and Saves, the True Value Hardware inside East Rochester Shop and Save, Dr. C. Timothy Lipp, Beaver Falls Athletic Department, the Fry Transportation Group, and Beaver County Radio.
Lincoln Park Performing Arts Center in Midland opens its 2025-2026 season with the award-winning comedy classic Guys and Dolls, October 3rd through the 12th, sponsored by Clearview Federal Credit Union. For tickets, visit lincolnparkarts.org.
There will be a benefit luncheon at Saints Peter and Paul Ukrainian Catholic Church located at 404 6th Street in Ambridge, Sunday, October 12th, starting with a reception at 12:30 and lunch at 1 p.m. Everyone is invited to attend this event, and the proceeds will benefit the Ukrainian Catholic Eparchy or Diocese and people suffering in Ukraine. You can register by going to stjoseph@eparchy.com/benefit luncheon 2025 or by calling 440-888-1522. Check out the silent auction items you can currently bid on at www.standrewcc.org/2025 St. Joseph Eparchy Auction. Join this benefit luncheon Sunday, October 12th at 12:30 at Saints Peter and Paul Ukrainian Catholic Church at 404 6th Street in Ambridge.
Remember way back when you were young and the bus ride to and from school set the tone for what made your day special? School buses and vans have had a special place in the Fry family for 3 generations. At Fry Transportation, the student transportation industry is embraced as a tradition, privilege, and lifestyle. From the morning laughs on the way to school to the talk about the day on the way home. Memories you won't forget, just like the vintage football games aired each week on Beaver County Radio. Fry Transportation, caring for your children as they care for their own. 9:22 a.m. Thanks for spending time with us this Wednesday morning. Scott Tatey, joined in studio by Kevin Farkas. We're talking about Pumpkinpalooza this Saturday in New Galilee. And I think we need to touch one more time. Some people driving down the road, they heard us talking about the pig woman. Maybe it's kind of do an overview of this ghostly story since it's that time of the season.
Barbara Davidson was murdered, as the story goes, by an unknown mysterious person, beheaded, stuffed under the crawl space of the cabin. Now, this was back in the 1790s. Barbara's parents had gone away to Pittsburgh to gather supplies. And when they came back, she was missing. She stayed home to tend the barnyard animals. She was very affectionate of pigs, apparently. And they eventually found her body, headless, murder yet unsolved. And in the 70s, thereabouts, people started to note an apparition of some headless form, a lady, some say, appearing down by the Cannleton old trestle across the Little Beaver Creek there. In various places. Some people have witnessed this head appearing, a person with the head of a pig, body with the head of a pig on it, in various places. So there are a lot of different manifestations of the sighting of Barbara Davidson. Now, do you believe that?
Part of me does. Yeah, part of me does. I don't know about the pig part, but I don't know.
Well, let me tell you. So in the winter, a few years back, went on a ghost investigation with the Ohio Paranormal Investigative Team, and we went to a property in Cannleton. And I can't divulge where this is, but this was in the wee hours of the morning.
That's a pretty remote part of Beaver County.
It is.
The whole Cannleton area, so yeah.
It is. Lots of woods, lots of acreage, lots of big old farm fields and so forth. Apparently this property was where Barbara Davidson's actual house was, where she was murdered. And so we went trudging along way back in the fields to the place where the foundation still exists. And the ghost team, they had, their instruments. And they do the calls, Barbara, are you here? And they register these things on these electronic pieces of gear they have. I'm telling you, Scott, it was weird. It was weird. There were some responses back that you could believe this or not, but it's on the recording. Some weird responses to, the calls, the questions for Barbara. Weird feelings of things. There were some cardinals that appeared in the brush in the middle of the night. They just fluttered out of this where the foundation was of the house. If you know anything about cardinals, they represent these spirits.
I do believe in that.
Right.
Very much.
And we even went to a part of a field where all of a sudden it got really cold, and the ghost folks say that is often a sign of the presence. Oh. And I've been on a few of these investigations with Danny Chabot over at the Rochester High School and some other places, with this group. They always talk about how batteries seem to drain quickly on these investigations. For some reason, electronic batteries just dwindle. I'm telling you, that night, my batteries on my cameras just tanked. I can't explain this, right? But
makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder for sure, for sure. Now, what those apparitions that we're seeing down there on the trestle in the 70s, were kids down there, toking it up a little bit, drinking a few beers, maybe. Yeah. But who's to say?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's the time of season where we do spend a little extra time wondering about the supernatural and ghosts and things like that. So
yeah.
I guess I'd say, I don't want to say it's fun to think about, but it's interesting, it's intriguing, and really, it does make you stop and wonder.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is a hallmark of Appalachian storytelling, the ghost tales and the mysterious sightings of things out in the woods, these critters from Bigfoot to the Mothman down in West Virginia, right? That is just part of our Appalachian folkways to tell these stories. Yeah.
Joined by Kevin Farkas. We're talking about Pumpkinpalooza in New Galilee this Saturday, but you're also involved, you're a historian, obviously, you know a lot about Beaver County history, but talk about your Social Voice project. And I've got to work with you once on a podcast and was very impressed by your knowledge of equipment and your speaking voice and everything. But so the Social Voice podcast, what are some of the, or project, what are some of the things you're involved in?
The Social Voice Project started so many years ago. Really started doing oral history work and public history work. Public history is really the interface between the historical stuff and the archives and the research and so forth and the public, right? So making those bridges happen, that's something I really like. I mentioned earlier this digital media project that I have around Beaver County, Appalachia. I also have one around freedom seekers coming through this area here. I have one around Legionville, right? And I'm just kind of trying to just research and put stuff up there, multimedia stuff, so text, videos, audio work, and so forth. So it gives one a sense of three-dimensionality, I guess I should say, to this stuff. I worked with the Little Beaver Historical Society for a while, and I did a number of projects. One of those was historic sound, and I had a chance to sort of explore what historical sound was like, and just the Moravian church that's up on Route 18. North,
is that Wampum? Or,
north of Wampum.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
This is a fascinating story. I won't get too into the weeds on this, but the Moravians were remarkable for getting Native Americans to sing hymnals and so forth in the 18th century, right? And they have preserved this to this day. So we can hear what Native languages actually sounded like through their preservation work. Right. I have a clip of an old paddle sternwheeler that's long gone from the 40s, and I have a recording of the whistle, long gone. Right. And my dad remembers the steam locomotives and what they sounded like coming up through the valleys, and the steel mills. When I was a kid, I grew up in West Mayfield, and heard the clanging of the pipes and the tubes and so forth. That was part of my growing up. That was part of everyone's, background in the day. It's all gone, completely gone. So there is something to historic sound. So that's just one of the things that I've gotten into there.
Is there like an overriding website where people can visit the Social Voice Project? Or
socialvoiceproject.org.
Okay.
Yeah, if you Google the Social Voice Project, it'll come up. I was pleased this past year. Actually, this was going on for a couple of years, but this past year, Idris Elba, the actor.
Yeah. He was rumored to be the upcoming James Bond at one point. I remember that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, his production crew reached out to me for an interview that I had done with Henry Parham, who at that time was I believe he was the last African American to have been on Normandy. And Henry was from Pittsburgh, and interviewed him a number of years ago. So his team reached out to me from England, and this went on back and forth for a year or more. And so finally, so they used my clip in his documentary about African Americans during World War II. Fascinating.
So
stuff,
where can people watch it on YouTube or something, or where is it?
I guess, I don't know. I mean, it's so World War II Heroes of Color is the name. Oh, it's actually called Erased, World War II Heroes of Color. This is produced by Idris Elba and National Geographic. So the Social Voice Project. I've done a lot of work with veterans. I've done a lot of work with community oral history work. Interviewing people, fascinating people in communities, storytelling in communities. This, we'll record some of the stuff here at Pumpkinpalooza, and that'll be available for people to sort of check out. I came across in doing some research here. I found a recording of a square dance calling from 1985 from Hookstown. Let me get this straight here. Big Knob Grange Hall in Rochester. That's 40 years ago. And I just discovered, like literally sitting out in your lobby doing research, I found a 46-year-old recording that exists out there of a fellow named Bill McAdoo. And anyone who knows square dancing would know this name, I'm sure. I'm sure Matt Williams would know. But Bill McAdoo's calls are actually preserved on a recording, 46 cool. years old. Oh, wow. And apparently he was one of the old-time patter callers. I don't know what that means, patter. So we'll have to ask Matt what that's about. But it's kind of interesting that this stuff can be preserved, audio or video or even, the text, right? So this is the kind of stuff that I've been working on with the Social Voice Project. Preserved and reinitiated, re-celebrated. Like you mentioned, there'll be square dancing at this Pumpkinpalooza. And I'm sure there are people out there listening, I haven't done that since I was in 6th grade or whatever like that. But come out and watch and maybe learn how to do it again. And myself included. I literally probably 1st grade, 2nd grade. Yeah, I remember swing your partner around, and after that I forget the lyrics. Do-si-do, that's a term. That's all I know. I learned from Bugs Bunny, I think. But cool stuff. So Pumpkin Fest. And we haven't mentioned food, though. You mentioned pumpkin pie eating contest. What else you got food-wise? Yeah, well, the Little Beaver Lions, they'll have a whole concession there. And they'd use best French fries in the world that they sell at the Darlington polo matches. Same crew. They'll be there. I asked them once what the secret is. Peanut oil. Oh, yeah. There you go. They will be there doing their thing of, I'm sure, hot dogs, hamburgers, and that sort of thing, and all the drinks, and then. Of course, the pig roast will happen at starting at 4 p.m. there. Yeah, so it's I love the food at these events. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know how good it is for you, but I just those fries, I love them. Those calories don't count. You mentioned something about apples too. Will there be apple? Apple launching there will be. I have to refer back to Melanie's. Well, we have to get another commercial break in, so you do that, and we'll be right back with more getting you hungry, talking to you about a fun event coming up this Saturday in New Galilee. It is Pumpkinpalooza.
Beaver County Radio's 78th year of broadcasting high school football continues this Friday night at 6:30 p.m. It's Jug Week, and we'll make a trip to Oak Hill Stadium as the New Brighton Lions try to keep the Beaver Falls Tigers from getting the jug back. Join Robert Mangino and Mike Azadian as they call all the action. Tank Latham will have the Latham team at eXp Realty sideline reports throughout the game, and we'll have the Boom Pow report from another key matchup. The audio and video coverage gets underway with a 6:30 p.m. pregame and kickoff set for just after 7. You can watch the game on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. You can listen to the games on 99.3 and 95.7 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and BeaverCountyRadio.com. High school football coverage on Beaver County Radio is brought to you in part by the Latham team at eXp Realty, the William Murphy Funeral Home, Forward RX, Patriot Home Care, the YMCA in New Brighton, Al's Pizza in New Brighton, Dr. C. Timothy Lip, Freedom United Federal Credit Union, Falcones Moon Township Ford, and Beaver County Radio.
Put freedom in your future. Freedom United Federal Credit Union in Rochester. Beaver County Radio's news source. 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and beavercountyradio.com. Here's Noah Haswell.
Good morning on this Wednesday, October 8th of 2025. We will have a complete Beaver County radio weather forecast after we take this look at news. There was a borough meeting last night at the Big Beaver Borough Volunteer Fire Department in Darlington at 6 p.m. to determine the fate of the Pittsburgh International Race Complex in Wampum because it will close for its final season on November 9th, 2025. It is unknown at this time if that raceway will be bought out after its owners, Jim and Kathy Stout, will get ready to step away from owning that raceway after much thought. You can also go to savepittrace.org, that's savepittrace.org, to sign a petition to support the raceway, volunteer to help out with it, and email several Pennsylvania officials, including Governor Josh Shapiro, about it. A driving accident occurred yesterday morning close to the 7-Eleven store in Beaver. The crash happened at around 5:25 a.m. that morning, and a vehicle hit a telephone pole on the passenger side. Eastbound traffic was diverted. The conditions of both the driver and the potential passenger is unknown at this time. PennDOT District 11 announced that single-lane restrictions are underway on Freedom Crider Road, Route 2004 in New Swickley Township, from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays through Tuesday, October 21st. Lane restrictions will occur on Freedom Crider Road between Baker Road and Wolf Run Road, as crews will conduct drainage and roadway repair work there. A ranking recently came out from the American Customer Satisfaction Index, or ACSI, in their 2025 convenience store study, which shows Sheetz is tied with Wawa in second place with a customer satisfaction score of 82. The study from the ACSI is based on over 8,000 surveys, and customers were picked at random by email between October of 2024 and September of 2025 to participate in it. The Altoona, Pennsylvania-based Sheetz has improved in this study 4% each year they have been ranked in it. Justin Brazeau scored twice. Arturs Shilovs stopped all 25 shots he faced for his first regular season NHL shutout, and the Pittsburgh Penguins beat the New York Rangers 3-0 in each team's opener. Dan Muse won his debut as Penguins coach with his predecessor, Mike Sullivan, on the other bench running his first game with the Rangers. Sullivan guided Pittsburgh to back-to-back Stanley Cup titles in 2016 and 17 as part of a nearly decade-long run there before parting ways in April. Due to health issues, country music star Cody Johnson canceled his remaining tour dates, including an October 18th headlining show scheduled for PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh. Johnson, a three-time Country Music Association Entertainer of the Year nominee, shared in a part of a statement yesterday that, while battling a severe upper respiratory and sinus infection, I burst my eardrum. The severity of the rupture means I must undergo immediate surgery. The healing process will take many weeks, and it is not possible for me to sing during this time. I pray for full healing so I can get well and return to doing what I love. Thank you, Kojo Nation, for the love and support now and always. Pittsburgh ticket holders will receive an email from their ticket providers with further details.
Here's the Beaver County forecast.
Sunny and breezy today. We'll see highs near 65 and overnight lows around 40. More sunshine tomorrow. Look for highs of 61 and lows of 37. And some areas of patchy frost to start the day on Friday. Otherwise, we'll see lots of sunshine with highs in the mid-60s and lows of 41. I'm Lisa Marie with your Beaver County weather.
That's a look at the news for now. I'm Noah Haswell on 99.3 FM. AM 1230 WBVP, 95.7 FM, and 1460 AM WMBA. Also streaming live around the world at beavercountyradio.com.
Join 99.3 FM and 1230 WBVP at the New Brighton Fall Fest from 12 until 2 p.m. on Saturday, October 18th from noon until 2 p.m. Beaver County Radio's Curtis Walsh will be there with the Beaver County Radio Prize Van and the Beaver County Radio Birthday Wheel. The New Brighton Fall Fest runs from noon until 6 p.m. along 3rd Avenue in New Brighton. Beaver County Radio's broadcast from the New Brighton Fall Fest is being brought to you by Electric Garage Door Sales, Hallowed Grounds in New Brighton, the J&J Spratt Funeral Home, I Care on 3rd, Monroe Auto Body, and Beaver County Radio.
Looking for a great job opportunity? McDonald's now has full-time and part-time positions available to fit your lifestyle and needs. Set your own hours and have a lot of fun too. Whatever the situation is, McDonald's has a place for you. Apply today at mchire.com. McDonald's is here for you. I'm loving it.
What's everyone in Beaver County talking about? It's Beaver County Radio, brought to you exclusively by Fry Transportation. Beaver County Radio and Fry Transportation, a winning team in Beaver County.
We are indeed coming at you from the Fry Transportation Group studio. Scott Tady here, joined in studio by Kevin Farkas from the Social Voice Project, Beaver County historian, all-round raconteur. Hearing some good stories here today. And but one of the things we're really hyping is the Pumpkinpalooza. Still love that name. Taking place this Saturday in New Galilee. And for people maybe just joining us now, can you kind of give an overview of what Pumpkinpalooza offers?
Pumpkinpalooza is a wonderful charitable event that is in New Galilee, 606 Centennial Avenue in New Galilee. This will be this Saturday, October 11th. It's really a family-friendly, community-oriented experience for kids to come and roll pumpkins down a hill and bet on those pumpkins and maybe win a few prizes. And
now, what's the secret? Do you want a little pumpkin, a perfectly round pumpkin?
You know, Scott, I've always been so busy doing my own thing. I just been sort of like watching this from a corner of my eye. I don't think there's a real strategy, although I'm sure people try, you know.
Do you cut the stem off or do you leave it on? I don't know.
I've seen they explode. Big ones explode, little ones explode.
Cool.
Little ones come in first, big ones come in first. I don't know the secret, so I guess it's just take your luck, you know what I mean? But it's fun to watch these pumpkins roll down the hill. Boy, they gather some speed, and you know they're just like lots of things for the kids to do: obstacle courses and pie eating contests. And we talked about there's a big slingshot, right? So you can put these apples in a slingshot and see who can get that thing going out there. Yeah, so it's really a fun time, family-oriented and community-oriented.
There'll be musical entertainment. We mentioned the square dancing as part of it.
Right, that'll be in the evening, right? But I will have a playlist going throughout the day, you know, various music. We have a fellow in, I guess this is going to happen, or we're just going to wing in this, but there's a fellow in Darlington who makes his own instruments. And he had offered to just come and sit down and plunk around on these like cigar box guitars that he makes.
Oh, wow.
And other homemade instruments.
Wow, that's
right?
Appalachia.
Yeah, it is. Totally, right. And so I'm going to find out just like anyone else what this is about. But it's low-key like that. So if he comes and he takes the stage there a little bit, I mean, he just doesn't want any of the fanfare or anything. He's just going to play his music and stuff. But there will be some, you know, playlist things going throughout the day. And I think the announcers will have some mic work going on there about the various events.
Is this free admission to Pumpkinpalooza?
There actually is. I have to refer again to Melanie's flyer here. There is a $5 day-long pass.
Okay, but that covers everything.
Yeah, it would cover everything.
Okay.
There.
And what are the hours? Maybe one more important question.
The registration for the events and all that will kick off around noontime.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfect time of year, perfect weather. People want to get outside, you know, have it Saturday, and I predict a very large turnout for this. And
yeah.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, we grow every year. People come in various waves, different waves every year, so it's kind of a little bit predictable, but it is a very popular event.
Where else are you going to see Punkin' Chunkin'?
Yeah.
This Saturday.
Right.
Right?
Right. Smash those pumpkins. Yeah.
Joined by Kevin Farkas. We mentioned you were very involved in history as well. You have a project going on with, you mentioned something about freedom and an underground railroad. What's cooking there?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things I really love about being independent public historian that I could sort of follow my passion, right? Or ideas that it's like, oh, let me just explore that. So a few years ago, I was interested in the Underground Railroad, and I started to explore the Underground Railroad here in Beaver County. And, we're all really aware of New Brighton's, their history there. They really do a great job in celebrating the Stantons and the Irishes and the Townsends and so forth, fleshing out some of the stories there. Merrick Art Gallery, they just recently have started to tout this tunnel that they discovered, and that they are saying that is part of the Underground Railroad in some way, some fashion. So when I started to get into this idea of the Beaver County experience of freedom seekers, right? There is stuff that obviously, the New Brighton Historical Society has published a lot of stuff about from the abolitionist helpers, their point of view. We have next to nothing from the African American perspective, like next to nothing. And obviously you can understand why. I mean, they weren't keeping their own records. Obviously, they were trying to get from point A to point B and scooting through Beaver County. But what was that experience like? And so I've been really trying to find historical evidence of what these experiences were like for African Americans. And I have to sort of extrapolate from the documented stories that come out of the Philadelphia area or the Cincinnati area, for example. There are documented accounts of what freedom seekers, as they're called, right? What they experienced in Beaver County. None that I'm aware of.
I never thought of that, but yeah,
right.
And you can see why people did want to keep records and have it tied back to them, and they wanted to be. They needed to be off the radar, so to speak. But
sure.
Yeah, that leads to a point of, like you said, what was the perspective? Wow.
Sure. Well, the Fugitive Slave Act, 1850, would have punished anybody who was tied, right, to helping people, come through this area. But from the African perspective itself, what was that like? And I like to think of history, on the human level. So obviously, these were strangers on the land. They must have been frightened. When they were put up in these houses, these homes, or scurrying up the waterways and the creekways in the cover of darkness, what was going through their minds? What was that human experience for them? I'm at a loss, really, to explain that from historical evidence perspective, right? But it's a fascinating question, right? And actually, I sort of expanded this out into the whole African American experience of the earliest days of Beaver County. There were slaves, actually documented slaves. Some property owners had slaves in Beaver County. There were some former slaves who lived in New Brighton area, buried in Grove Cemetery there. But what was it like in general for people? So this is kind of an interesting exploration. And so I've been documenting on the socialvoiceproject.org stuff that I could find, right? And some of it is contrary to the common myths, right? Some of it sort of challenges the common myths.
Can you give an example of that?
Well, I tell you, so the contemporary historical research on the Underground Railroad shows that things like these quilts, right? We often hear about the quilts, the coded quilts. Didn't happen. That's what the historical research is showing, and they could point to where that myth kind of came from. It's a myth, right? And a lot of the other things that we think of the Underground Railroad like it was this like singular train. No, it was so diffuse. And it was so individualized. There were people coming through this way and that way. There were helpers. This was the most fascinating thing to me. There were helpers, conductors, right? Again, the most contemporary historical research is showing that most of the quote-unquote conductors were black people themselves.
Oh, wow.
Not to white people, who were sometimes referred to pejoratively as the white saviors, right? But the evidence is really showing that black people were helping black people. There was a community near Mercer, and it was a community of African Americans who were freed through manumission, right? They were freed by their owner, and they were helpers. freedom seekers coming through the area, going towards Sandy Creek and then further points north, often stayed there. And I often wondered, did those residents, those black residents there, come down and sort of usher the people coming up through the Ohio Valley, the Beaver Valley, up to points north? I can't imagine that didn't happen, but I have no historical evidence to point to. These are fascinating questions.
Very,
to me,
very.
right? Yeah. So I come to find out that the Underground Railroad is really more myth than anything, but it does have real historical, facts that are consistent with what we think with the myth, and also very inconsistent with the myths, like those quilts.
I'm glad there remains an interest in it, and that to the point where New Brighton is able to actually have a tour that does very well, has large crowds that go on it. So that's encouraging to me that people still have that interest in a very important historical thing.
Yeah. I mean, putting all this stuff together. I've been saying for a long time, these abolitionists here in this area, boy, they are heroes. They are heroic figures in our local history. They risked a lot. They risked their wealth, right? They could have lost everything if they had gotten caught. So they're real heroes, and I think they are real champions of humanity. John Brown, for example. So it's said that John Brown attended Greersburg Academy. I've talked to a few historians who said that's the rumor, but that can't be historically validated in any sort of way, through documents or other. It was basically hearsay. But when you look at John Brown and his anti-abolition, or his abolitionist fervor, I mean, he was a maniacal character, right? I mean, murderous character, right? But the passion and the conviction and just the allegiance to just this, humanity. I mean, that is pretty remarkable, right? And so I think that our abolitionists here, and it's in the historical record, they had that same kind of passion and that sort of, they were going to put their humanity on the line for others, right? So that is just remarkable. I don't think we are celebrating our abolitionists enough in this county, and I would love to see more of that history flushed out.
Okay, we have a few minutes left. How's this compared to the first time you were on Beaver County Radio 36 years ago? Is it any?
Maybe I'm saying the same amount of times. I don't know.
I want to circle back. You mentioned your first time you were on Beaver County Radio, you had walked the Appalachian Trail, and that just fascinates me. What can you pinpoint, like what the most challenging or scariest moment, the moment you most were like, what am I doing, or why am I doing, or was it, there had to be some bumps along the way? Well,
it was 2,100 miles, 14 states. I had just gotten out of the Navy. I'd sold everything I had.
Why was it a passion? Why did you have to do it? Just because it was there? Was it like why people climb mountains? Or what?
Yeah, because it was there, right? I traveled around in the Navy, 23 countries, and I just had this travel bug. And I was stationed in Virginia Beach, and I'd come across this thing called the Appalachian Trail going through Virginia at one time, and I just became fascinated by it. And I'd heard about it growing up, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do this, right? I mean, I was young and I had no entanglements, and I was able to sell everything I had. I didn't have much, but I sold my car and lots of stuff. And so I found myself April 1st, 1988, with a backpack in Georgia, and I started walking. And so I finished around mid-September. All kinds of trials and tribulations along the way, of course, but in Connecticut, I can remember in Connecticut, there was a drought that year. I had hiked with a lot of great people I met. You do this, you meet these folks, and we all have trail names and stuff. It's just a wonderful time. Somewhere in the mid part of the journey, whatever, mid-states, we all thinned out, and it was so lonely, and it was so hot and miserable. And I remember coming across the road in Connecticut somewhere and stepping onto that road, and I looked left and I looked right, and I said, which way? I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to tell you. We were talking about Darlington and the trail town and what they're doing for the hikers. I walked a little bit further and I came across a stream, and I looked down in the stream and there was a 6-pack of beer. I'm not kidding you. True story.
What kind of beer?
I don't know. I don't remember, but it was good. Let me tell you, it was good and refreshing. But people along the way would, they call that trail magic. Someone put a 6-pack down there for hikers. So I saw that and I said, I'm going to have a beer, you know what I mean? And just think about things for a little bit. Well, one thing led to another, and I kept on going, and I ended up finishing in Maine.
It's a great story.
Yeah. But that was, I just really wanted to travel. I wanted to do it because it was there. It really reinforced my view of humanity, right? That people are good people. And after that, I ended up bicycling around the country for 6 months.
Oh.
And all over.
We got to talk about that next time. I'm jealous of that. Well, Kevin Farkas is joining us today. And one more time, just for people, maybe they caught part of the interview halfway through, you're here to talk about Pumpkinpalooza. What are the details for this event this Saturday in New Galilee?
Pumpkinpalooza, right. October 11th, this Saturday at in downtown New Galilee, 606 Centennial Avenue. Great celebration kicks off around noon. Lots of events for the kids and families. There will be food there, great French fries, and other things. Pig roast, which starts at 4 p.m. The eating starts at 4 p.m. They're cooking that pig for a long time. Lots of fun things like obstacle courses and,
the pumpkin roll where people betting on which pumpkin rolls
the pumpkins down this big hill is very exciting.
Love it.
I think it's a little bit dangerous. I shouldn't really say that, but if you're down, they make every attempt, right, to make sure this is safe. But look at those pumpkins fly down there. You just wonder, oh my gosh, don't get in the way, because they explode and they roll through.
Oh, I'd be there filming video of that and putting on YouTube or something like that.
Yeah. There is some stuff out there.
Awesome.
It is just a ton of fun, Scott. Thank you for having me on to talk about this.
You're a great guest. Look forward to having you back again soon, Kevin.
Thanks.
All right, there you have it. Thank you all for joining us.
Patriot Home Care is